James Carter was an ordinary man, living an extraordinary life in the quiet suburbs of Chicago. A devoted father to his 2 teenage daughters, a loving husband to his wife Maria, and a respected teacher at the local high school, James had always been the kind of person people could count on. He was the guy who stayed late to help struggling students and the neighbor who shoveled driveways during snowstorms without being asked. But one unassuming Monday morning, James felt a sharp pain in his abdomen while walking to his car. At first, he shrugged it off, just a muscle strain, he thought. But when the pain persisted, Maria insisted he visit the doctor. The diagnosis came swiftly and brutally: stage 3 colon cancer. James's world flipped upside down. The confident man who had always solved problems for others now faced one he couldn't control. The doctor outlined an aggressive treatment plan: surgery, followed by rounds of chemotherapy and radiation. The initial weeks were grueling. The surgery left him weak, and chemotherapy drained every ounce of energy he had. His once full head of hair began to thin, and his appetite disappeared. The physical toll was immense, but it was the emotional weight that crushed him most. One evening, as he sat on the couch, feeling defeated, his daughter Lily handed him a crumpled piece of paper. It was a note she had written in her childish scrawl when she was 8, "Daddy, you are my hero." Those words ignited something in James. He decided that if his daughters believed he was a hero, he would fight like one. James threw himself into the battle with a fierce determination. He joined a support group for cancer patients, where he met people who were fighting the same fight. Their stories inspired him, and their camaraderie gave him strength. On days when the treatment left him too weak to move, Maria would sit by his side, holding his hand and reminding him of their dreams for the future: traveling to Italy, watching their daughters graduate, and growing old together. James also began journaling. Each night, he wrote about his fears, his hopes, and the small victories, like the day he managed to eat an entire meal without feeling nauseous, or when he took a short walk around the block. After months of relentless treatment, James's doctors delivered the news he had been praying for: the tumor was shrinking. Though the road ahead was still long, the light at the end of the tunnel was finally visible. Gradually, James regained his strength. He started volunteering at the cancer center, mentoring newly diagnosed patients and sharing his story. He found purpose in giving others hope, becoming a beacon of resilience for those around him. 2 years later, James stood on the stage at his school's graduation ceremony, delivering a speech that brought the audience to tears. He spoke not about cancer but about resilience, love, and the power of hope. "Life is unpredictable," he said, his voice steady and strong. "But even in our darkest moments, we have the strength to fight, the courage to endure, and the love of those around us to carry us through." Today, James is cancer-free. He still keeps Lily's note in his wallet as a reminder of the battle he fought and the family who stood by him. He continues to teach, mentor, and inspire, knowing that his survival wasn't just about beating cancer, it was about rediscovering the beauty of life. And to his daughters, he will always be their hero. As James adjusted to life after cancer, he embraced a newfound sense of gratitude. Every morning felt like a gift, every moment with his family a treasure. Simple joys, like the scent of freshly brewed coffee or the laughter of his daughters echoing through the house, became profound reminders of what he had fought for. James also rekindled passions he had set aside during his illness. He took up running, training for a local charity marathon to raise funds for cancer research. It was tough at first. His body, though healed, was not the same as before. But with each step, he felt stronger, more alive, and more determined to give back to the community that had supported him through his darkest days. Maria, ever the compassionate partner, joined James in his mission to support others. Together, they started a small non-profit organization called Second Chances, aimed at helping cancer survivors reintegrate into their lives post-treatment. They organized support groups, provided financial assistance to families struggling with medical expenses, and hosted workshops on mental health and resilience. The organization became a labor of love, with their daughters, Lily and Emma, pitching in to help. Lily, inspired by her father's journey, decided to pursue a career in oncology, while Emma began creating art to donate for fundraising events. A year after founding Second Chances, James fulfilled another dream, traveling to Italy with his family. Standing in the shadow of the Colosseum, eating gelato on the streets of Florence, and watching the sunset over the Amalfi Coast were experiences he once thought he might never have. As they walked along a cobblestone street in Rome, James paused, looking at Maria with tears in his eyes. "We made it," he whispered. She smiled, squeezing his hand. "Yes, we did." James's story began to attract attention. He was invited to speak at events, sharing his journey with audiences that ranged from cancer survivors to medical professionals. His message was simple yet powerful: the fight against cancer isn't just medical, it's emotional, spiritual, and communal. Together, we can help each other heal. His speeches became a source of hope for many, with people often approaching him afterward to share their own stories of struggle and triumph. Years later, as James watched Lily receive her medical degree and Emma unveil her first solo art exhibit, he felt a profound sense of fulfillment. His battle with cancer had shaped not just his life but the lives of those around him. Though the scars, both physical and emotional, remained, they were no longer symbols of pain but of survival and strength. James Carter was no longer just a man who survived cancer. He was a man who thrived because of it, leaving behind a legacy of resilience, love, and hope for generations to come. James's life continued to be a testament to perseverance and purpose. As the years passed, Second Chances grew into a national organization, helping thousands of cancer survivors and their families. It became a source of hope, a safe haven where people could find resources, support, and a community that understood their journey. James took on a mentorship role, guiding new leaders within the organization while stepping back to spend more time with his family. By then, Lily was completing her residency as an oncologist, inspired by the very doctors who had helped her father. Emma, now an acclaimed artist, dedicated many of her works to themes of healing, resilience, and hope, donating proceeds to cancer research. One evening, as James and Maria sat on their front porch watching the sun dip below the horizon, James reflected on his journey. "You know," he said, his voice steady but filled with emotion, "if someone had told me 10 years ago that this is where I'd be, surrounded by love, purpose, and the people I cherish most, I wouldn't have believed them. But here we are." Maria smiled, resting her head on his shoulder. "You've always been a fighter, James. And you've turned your battle into something beautiful, something bigger than all of us." In his retirement, James found new ways to give back. He began writing a memoir about his journey, detailing not just his fight against cancer but the lessons he learned along the way about courage, vulnerability, and the importance of community. The book, titled Second Chances, A Survivor's Story, became a bestseller, touching hearts across the world. James also became an advocate for early cancer detection, working with policymakers to improve access to screenings and treatments. His efforts led to significant changes in healthcare policies, ensuring that more people had the chance to fight and survive like he did. As James celebrated his 75th birthday surrounded by family, friends, and colleagues, he couldn't help but marvel at the journey that had brought him there. His daughters, now with families of their own, toasted to the man who had not only survived but thrived, inspiring everyone around him to do the same. "Dad," Lily said, raising her glass, "you taught us that life is not measured by the challenges we face but by how we rise above them. You've shown us what it means to live with purpose and love. We are so proud of you." As the room erupted in cheers, James looked around at the faces of those who had supported him through his darkest days and celebrated with him in his brightest. For James Carter, life had come full circle. Cancer had tested him in ways he never imagined, but it also revealed the depth of his strength, the power of his love, and the boundless potential of hope. And as he blew out the candles on his cake, he made one final wish, not for himself, but for the countless others still fighting their own battles. Because if there was one thing James Carter knew, it was this: every life deserves a second chance.